Hey, good morning. 8:34 coming up, the brand new episode, the debut, the premiere of From the Files from the KUAM Podcast Network. Got a bunch of great content on the KUAM Podcast Network. Just a little, let you guys know, Arlene Steffi is back on the podcast network, and she's got a new episode dropping in the next week or so. Also, Polly Eric Forbes with the Legnesi Polly. He's coming in to do a new episode today. But just really pumped for this new episode of From the Files coming up with Tomas Manglona. Good morning, Tomas.
Good morning, Chris.
I wanted to talk just a little bit, if you don't mind, about the mask mandate. As we reported on the news last night that Hawaii, what was this, Tomas?
Yes, Governor David Ige lifted the mask mandate, but was also quick to say that he's prepared to put it back in place. Right. Just to put it into perspective, though, I know some folks might not be following Hawaii as closely as those in Hawaii do, but it's been reported that that the state has had more than 237,000 COVID cases and 1,300 deaths. So that state has seen its battles with COVID, and now as more people are vaccinated, they're easing those restrictions.
Yeah, and so there was, we did, of course, obviously ask, and also on the same issue, Anderson Air Force Base Middle School, the home of the Dragons, I think it's the home of the Dragons, they went mask optional, or they're going mask optional starting, was it last Monday?
Yeah, I think it was this past month, yeah.
So, I mean, the debate on the masks, is it a debate? I don't know if it's a debate. It's not a debate to me, but it's continuing, and I think people are wondering when the masks will fall for Guam. And we did ask Governor Lulian Guerrero's communications director, Crystal Paco San Augustine, and she said, based on the CDC's metrics, Guam remains at a high-risk level. She said the governor has publicly stated that mask mandates will be the last of the restrictions to be lifted. But, that being said, we're knocking out these restrictions, like things that you knock out, as we knocked out the one on the unvaxxed, right? Now they can eat out, they can work out, do all that stuff. And then also we lifted the gathering limits, which is interesting because whenever they lift a restriction, they always say, oh, we lift, we don't just go lifting restrictions. We lift a restriction and then we study the data, but they don't really. They lift a restriction and then the next week they lift another restriction. And I mean, I get it. I think it's over. Personally, I feel like people are just done with it.
And Chris, I just wanted to read that CDC guidance. They released it on their website, just about 4 bullets.
Thank you.
Masks, when to wear a mask. The first point here, wear a mask with the best fit, protection, and comfort for you. Second point, if you are in an area with a high COVID-19 community level and are ages 2 or older, wear a mask indoors in public. Third point, if you are sick and need to be around others or are caring for someone who has COVID-19, wear a mask. And finally, here it says, if you are at increased risk for severe illness or live with or spend time with someone at higher risk, speak to your healthcare provider about wearing a mask at medium COVID-19 community levels. So those are the latest CDC guidance, and this COVID-19 community levels are something everyone's following. So a low community level, a medium community level, and then a high community level.
What's the high one?
A high community level means you wear a mask indoors in public, stay up to date with vaccines, get tested if you have symptoms, and additional precautions for people at high risk for severe illness. So a lot of what we're saying, but now I guess standardized across the board.
I think it's just the contradictory, though, when you do things like increase the gathering limit and lift this mandate that we were told was so important, and now it's a nothing burger.
Right.
But then you don't. Then you say out of the other side of your mouth, "Oh no, we're still high risk." Which one is it? It can't be that we're beating COVID, like these videos say, and then it's also high risk, or it can both be true. But is this the last thing that's going to fall? I anticipate it's going to be lifted before the election. It is what it is, guys.
You're talking about the mask mandate?
Yeah, we're talking about the mask mandate. Hawaii was the last state to lift it, right? But they're saying that they lift it, but if it gets
fitting,
hot,
the 50th state in the union was the last one to.
if it gets hot, then they'll throw it back.
Yeah, Chris,
on.
I have this image on my phone. So it's high is this orange color, yellow is medium, and green is low.
Yeah.
So when this new mandate took into effect, it basically impacted 90% of the country. So if you're looking at this picture again, orange is high. So that's where, the mask recommendations are at its peak.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I guess we'll see what happens.
Do you mind if I ask, are you guys going to continue to wear the mask even if they say we don't have to?
I think in certain situations, yeah. Like maybe if I was ever in a bar, I would wear it.
No such concerns for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was something Governor Torres said yesterday when it came to even the CNMI policies. He was saying that do what you want and let other people do the same.
Yeah.
Do the same. Don't call out someone for not wearing it or right.
Yeah.
Or that way.
I thought that was pretty cool.
I'm gonna keep wearing it. I mean, maybe that might be like an unpopular opinion, but
go do you, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, just follow the guidelines with high, medium, and low. So
right, but I think with and again the contradictions, and there's been contradictions the whole pandemic, but when you have Crystal, Pacos, and Augustine talking about we can't lift the mask mandate because according to the CDC we're at a high risk status. We have done everything under this high risk status. Our kids have gone to school under this, and not just high risk, like super high risk status. So. To me, it's a little hard as someone who's not a total idiot to put these things together in my mind. Where you still got to wear the mask, but your kids can go to school when it's raining down thousands of COVID cases in a week. It's just hard to. But there's the reason why that saying is so damn popular. It is what it is because it really is genius. It covers everything, doesn't it, Tomas? I feel like it's become
that is the ultimate. Fiesta tarp.
Put that on my tombstone. You know what I mean?
It is the pandemic of our lifetime.
Yeah.
So
it is what it is.
I wonder how. No, honestly, no. All joking aside, I wonder how many kids are actually using that literally as their yearbook.
Yeah.
Quote.
I wonder.
It is, especially from the last two graduating classes. It is what it is, and they were like, hey, we're dealt the hand we're dealt, and we can either roll with it or get rolled on.
I think also I wonder up at Anderson where it's mask optional, like how has the response been? Like are kids just no masks or are they still showing up with the masks?
Yeah, let me take a look at our page because we did post that early on when the news first came out about that.
And I know when you had posed the daily question about should we lift the mask mandate, there was a comment I saw from a teacher really put it in perspective for me, and she was like, I'm not ready to be around 20 kids from 20 different households without a mask. Right?
My mom said the exact same thing, and she absolutely loves her students, and she knows that they're good kids and they mean well and everything like that, but she goes, it's gonna be a really weird adjustment.
Exactly. And that's
and
why
she said I don't think I'm gonna take it off, at least not on day one.
When I really thought about how I personally feel about the mask mandate, I feel like it should be an individual choice, but I think there's certain settings. Like I think in restaurants and other establishments that are part of these like covered establishments, where they require masking. Like I don't want to go into the clinic and it's like nobody's wearing a mask, la-di-da-di, we like to party, or a restaurant setting. I feel like it's a good thing, you know what I mean, that we should keep. So I don't support lifting the mask mandate across the board in all situations, but I do think it's time to take. I mean, dude. All 50 states have lifted it in some way, shape, or form. And if the messaging is that we're beating these surges, we're beating this COVID, then I think that's the cherry on top that, political or not, that's kind of the last thing, the last I to be dotted.
And again, last night's numbers, the test positivity rate, as I mentioned in news, went under 20% for the first time, I want to say, in like at least 60 days.
Right. So that's what they mean by high-risk status. But,
right, because
163 cases out of 818 samples.
Yeah. Because Hawaii's positivity rate's 2.7%.
Yeah.
So, different worlds.
Yeah, totally different worlds. But again, we're doing everything, though. You know, I mean, it's like we're high risk.
20% still is high. That's
it's crazy.
Fifth.
It's crazy high.
Yeah, remember Dr. Felix Cabrera said once it gets over 12, that's when you got to be really just seriously concerned.
From a COVID standpoint, and it sounded, because this is a contradiction. I mean, we're sitting here talking about lifting the mask mandate, but I mean, just from a COVID standpoint, I don't know if you can say we're beating it if the test positivity rate is that high and the risk is still out there. But I just feel like I'm not, as an individual, I'm just not going to put myself in a situation where I'm going to be exposed to the virus and catching it. I really feel like if I made it this far in this pandemic, knocking on wood furiously, then I can just make it as an individual. We all know what we got to, kind of do. And I just feel like governments around the world have, I'm not saying they've used this situation to take advantage, but they've gotten very comfortable being in this emergency posture and what it allows for in terms of the powers that they have and the authority that they have. I think that's the part where they got comfortable with, how they interact or don't interact with the public in an emergency setting. And I think that's why they just keep extending it because, like I said, they're just comfortable operating from this position, even though, the writing on the wall might indicate that, we're coming out of it.
Now, Chris, may I offer something that maybe you guys didn't consider initially? Because I know you were saying you believe, because it is an election year,
Please
maybe. I wonder if any announcements or major policy shifts are going to happen, let's just say next Tuesday, because next Tuesday, some people might not recall, that is the exact 2-year anniversary from when the first cases on Guam were reported.
Yeah. Not
1, not 2, but 3 on that first day.
Yeah.
We've said this so many times over the last 2 years. Sabrina and I were doing a Facebook live stream. We were down way in the bowels of the Office of Civil Defense, Homeland Security.
Yeah.
The governor came out. Everybody in her cabinet was there. All the law enforcement people, all the emergency responders, the military
They were there without masks.
Yeah. and flanked by, at the time, Public Health Director Linda Pinco DeNorsi and Lillian Posadas, the administrator of GMH. She said, well, I can confirm that there are 3 coronavirus, but back when people still called it coronavirus, there are 3 coronavirus cases, and the place was, that was mute on mute.
Yeah.
Not a sound to be heard. And
guys, don't worry if you don't remember. I think on the hotspot and then even here on the link, we're going to be doing, of course, we're going to be doing the look back. Yeah. Can we say that, what she put in the chat?
Throwback?
No, the look back. No, we are going to be. So when we come up with the anniversary here on the link, I'm going to be playing clips from the anniversary. I want to be playing a lot of the stuff from containing COVID.
So you're taking a page out of the Simpsons playbook. Yeah. Let's do a clip show.
Yeah, let's do a clip show.
No, but so if you guys didn't realize, the March 15th is the March 15th, just 5 days from now. That's going to be the 2-year anniversary of when we all embarked on this journey together, whether we wanted it or not. All of us did this. One community, one family. We got pulled apart on numerous occasions and everything like that. But again, there's another cliche, if you don't mind me saying so, like even more maybe than it is what it is. Okay. We're all in this together.
Yeah, and then I think so. What I'm thinking, and I'm just thinking out loud here. So if you have the 2-year anniversary coming up, like just in terms of political theater, I think it would be a good look if I'm thinking Adeloop's probably thinking it'd be a good look if we lifted a restriction on the 2nd anniversary of this as a sign to be like, hey, we're moving out of it. And the one that Dr. Hoa said should go next is the weekly testing requirement for the unvaccinated workers in those covered establishments. And so I wonder if that would be the next restriction, if the governor's people are saying the masks will be the last to be lifted. I'm just wondering. I don't know. We'll see. But what I did want to say, guys, is that the hotspot, right? It's gonna be fun. So you're gonna get the link in the morning and the hotspot on your lunch. But you guys have actually booked the governor. I'm so jelly.
We can.
Yeah.
I know we can't. Okay. And
Sabrina said yes. So the governor Luli Aguero
is confirmed. We can say it. Okay. That has been the.
She's confirmed to be the first guest on the hotspot with Sabrina and Jason.
Interestingly enough, is the governor is the last person that I actually interviewed face-to-face before the pandemic started. I did episode of Cruising with KUAM.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And you want to talk about pressure, right? So here's half Howley, half Chamorro, half Giraffe me, right? driving a $90,000 car that our friends at Triple J generously let us borrow for that afternoon, driving around the island's chief executive. I don't know if you guys could see it in the shot, but 30 feet back, always 30 feet back, was the SWAT
expedition
team.
Right, yeah.
And they even said, they're like, okay, if we at any point feel that the governor is in danger and everything like that, we're going to do what we can to take care of her. Not necessarily including myself, but anyway.
You're expendable.
So that was the last conversation I had was with the governor. So it's going to be, interesting, like, on a personal note, to catch up with her, seeing as how we've been through so much.
Yeah, it's going to be great, and that's exciting. So the hotspot, the governor will be on, and she's going to be talking about the 2-year anniversary of COVID.
Yeah,
right on.
I know we got a ton of questions. Obviously, you guys are going to have stuff, so please jump on, please interact. I mean, it's going to be good, and even more so given the fact that the date will be 2 years from when this whole thing just started. Just real quick, Tomas, for comparative purposes, when did the CNMI's first cases get reported? Was that
not long after March 28th?
I want to say it was the 28th.
Yeah, on the
28th.
28th.
I didn't even realize it was that long after.
Yeah. Because immediately the border went up, the quarantine, right? That's what everyone was talking about then. Some people were calling it too much, but it was only just in, last October when the CNMI really had its first surge. So, everyone's had their own journey with this.
Yeah, that's an understatement. Jay, thanks for stopping by, my friend. Appreciate it.
Always a pleasure. Miss you guys, man.
Yeah, miss you too, bro.
Our shirt game today is strong, may I say?
Yeah, you can say that.
Chris has the woven mat.
Yep. Come lay on me.
So we've got this great podcast.
I've got the Honolulu banker, and then Tomas has...
Tomas is trying to wrestle a segue out of this conversation with
and
you,
then
Jason.
Tomas has the freshly minted Stanford lawyer. So well done, Tomas.
Thank you, Jay. Right on.
All right, we're going to pivot. So from the files, episode 2.
That's a great episode.
It is. Once again, looking back at all of our reporting, the past more than 6 decades of... the great work that Team KOM does, and actually in this episode of Clinton's visit in 1998,
Clinton Fearon,
Bill Clinton, President Bill Clinton.
Which Clinton, bro? You got to be specific.
And it was funny because Joe Sir always helps me digitize these because they're on tapes, guys.
Yeah. Guys, they're on these things called tapes. Yeah, Tomas was like, a tape. He didn't even know which way to hold it.
That's not true, but I was mentioning that because a lot of the same photogs who were there and helped produce that and bring it live to the community and nation, we were all watching it together with Mike and Carl. They were all putting this together. So for some of you, it might be familiar. To others, it's going to refresh your memory. And to some people who, like me, were born in that year, might be looking at this for the first time. So here's that episode, our special episode of From the Files, Newsmakers, President Bill Clinton.
Dude, can I just say great job, Tomas?
All right, well, everyone's got to hear it first.
No, I'm just saying, man, this is a great idea.
Yeah.
We walk by those walls of tapes many times in the day, and to finally find a use for them for posterity, bro. It's for the children. It's good.
There's a half century of Guam history that are just like sitting on our walls. And like Tomas said, a lot of the people that we're working with to chronicle this very significant event in 1998.
Yeah, still work here.
They're still here.
Yeah.
Maybe just like some of them, a lot less hair and a lot more belly.
Yeah. Okay, so here it is. And Jay, this is going up everywhere you can find the KOM podcast.
It's already on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, the audio version, but trust me, you're going to want to see this. Tomas put it on YouTube last night.
Right.
Images that are indelibly burned into every Guamanian's memory for all time.
Right, so we're going to play this. We're going to come back and unpack a little bit of it before we wrap up the show. It's the latest episode of From the Files from the KUAM Podcast Network. Good morning.
Welcome to episode 2 of From the Files, where we recap, rewind, and remember the past decades of KOM news reporting. In this episode, we're digging into our files, revisiting the historic visit of President Bill Clinton in November 1998. It was met with deep jubilation and a mountain's worth of preparation, and Team KOM was on the ground covering it live. Our Grace Lee reports on this old episode of Island Focus.
Good evening. Welcome to Island Focus. I'm Grace Lee. Tonight, we take you back to the presidential visit. To say the least, it was a memorable experience. Some of those who got to meet him are still riding high.
We got a first-hand look at the preparation behind the presentations of Pride.
These guys can't make up their mind. I don't know who I'm going to listen to anymore.
Oh, you having fun?
Yeah.
Right. What's this project been like?
Whoa. What's this project been like?
Fascinating.
Fascinating.
Complicated.
Extremely.
Complex, I guess.
Very
More than
complex.
complicated. Yeah.
Daily, back and forth. Daily, tug and pull. But
Labor
daily,
intensive.
labor intensive, but daily team building.
Get a rebar.
But this is good. We're quite excited. It's been quite difficult working with individuals who are not familiar with the island, anywhere from Secret Service to the White House, but they're very accommodating. We accommodate them. A lot of them don't want to go home.
How ready are you guys?
Very ready.
Yeah, we're ready.
We're ready to meet the president and shake his hand. I'm never going to wash my hand. I'm never going to wash it.
Are you that excited?
Yeah.
Who's the most excited out of all you guys?
All of us.
And you might recognize the voice and face of this young boy preparing for his big day.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's light?
Well, when I first found out that I was gonna sing Star Spangled Banners, when maybe 3 weeks ago. Bobby, 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 the first lady was talking to me. She's like, "Did you hear the good news?" And I go, "What?" She goes, "You get to sing for the president." I'm like, "Oh, for real?" And I was like, really happy. And then later I found, just 2 days ago, I found out that I was singing it in English rather than in Chamorro. So the whole time I've been practicing it in Chamorro. Even if I've been singing for a long time, everything is different, and this is going to be, I heard there's a lot of people going to be here today, like the whole island, I think, or, a lot. To sing Star Spangled Banner, and it's the president, it's his nation, all of our nation, and that's really cool.
And the red carpet was rolled out for that big day as Clinton's plane touched down, and then Governor Carl Gutierrez welcomed him to the island. Clinton later made his way to the government house and Asan Bay Overlook.
I can tell you now, just looking out at this view behind you, I don't want to leave, and I'm trying to think of some reason to... There's an old Chamorro proverb, our heritage gives life to our spirit. I have learned from every person I have ever met in this part of the world that there is a proud and deep devotion to heritage. I have also sensed a very great spirit. We have much to give one another, much to learn from one another. Let us resolve to preserve all of our various heritages and our strong spirits and walk together into the 21st century. Thank you, and God bless you.
I have just had the great honor of paying my respects at the memorial to the people of Guam and to the American servicemen who lost their lives in the Second World War. I met there some Chamorro survivors and saw thousands of names etched on that very moving wall. I know behind each of those names, and in the history of so many families on this island, there is a tale of courage, sacrifice, patriotism, and honor.
And when the president met the people, Julian Uggan finally took the stage too.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we once were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof to the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land and of the free, and the home of the
Some residents say they'll never forget the experience.
And then he asked me what I'm doing after high school. I told him I'm going to go to college, probably major in law or business. And I told him I'm going to be right by him. And then he gave me a hug and he smiled. And it's nice because he's still wearing my lace.
Thanks for watching and listening to From the Files. I'm Tomas Manglona. Stay tuned for more episodes from our KOAM podcast network.
Wow.
Wow, you know, after all these years, the video is still really aging well and just really speaking to the times that we're in.
Yeah,
so really
crazy.
Some compelling imagery. And like I said, a lot of the same
my boy
people
Julian Uggan taking this,
still
though?
on the same page.
Has he messaged you yet?
Actually, when we scanned these tapes, a few months ago.
Yeah.
And I just sent him a screenshot of it, and he goes, "Whoa!"
I bet he was like, "You better not air that, boy."
we and so I just posted it. It's the full clip is now online everywhere.
Yeah.
And he said he'll never forget that day. So
now I'm sure because the episode
and everyone else will get to experience it.
And in the comments, people were noting that Grace Lee, who was the host of that show of Island Focus, is now at KHON in Honolulu.
Great.
So our always going to be a member of the KOM family.
Not too far away.
Also, what you didn't see because that was the recap version. What I remember is I watched because I was at ITN at the time. I helped set up the live stream.
Wow.
And this was real player, so the video was, let's just say, like not totally HD quality.
Yeah.
But the president came out, and when he took to the podium, after Julian, beautiful rendition of the national anthem, the president came up. He just looked out at the crowd. Huge standing ovation when everybody kind of like calmed down. He goes, just looked at, and the first words out of his mouth, "My fellow Americans."
Yeah,
the
people went
place
crazy,
went nuts.
Nowadays, if they said that, people would probably throw tomatoes at him. But I mean, it is what it is, guys.
He couldn't have picked a better way to start that. I remember the opening; it was so jaw dropping.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. This whole thing is just so interesting because at that time, like for a lot of people, right? I mean, my fellow Americans, we just ate it up, bro. And then nowadays, it's like the conversation is so much about decolonization, and I think it's interesting that the perspective of especially someone like Julian Uggan, who's a central figure in a lot of the decolonization conversations and discussions, to see him young in that light, being excited to like sing for the president of the U.S., it just hits different. I'm going to text him later and give him a hard time about that. Send him the clip.
I also remember when I was heading home from work that day because everything wrapped up around like 4 p.m. As I was driving home, I think I was on Airport Road. You actually saw Air Force One like take off, and I remember thinking, like, wow, the president just came to my hometown.
Yeah.
1 and 2. That is a big ass plane.
Yeah.
Air Force One is a big piece of aircraft.
And there was just a lot of stuff that happened at that time, Tomas. It was pretty controversial because at that time, as you guys probably maybe you don't remember, Guam made a huge donation to the Democrat National Party, and that was kind of like what some people said facilitated the visit by President Clinton.
Well, I don't know when we're gonna get to it, but we have lots of more tapes to record, and hopefully we'll get to meet a lot of the same people who we featured. So.
That would be cool. I know that you're talking about unpacking it. Maybe we can get Julian, Cliff Guzman. Some of the other people who were
Clinton.
Yeah, maybe President Clinton.
You might have also noticed there was a very, very baby-faced future Lieutenant Governor of Guam.
That's right.
Josh Tenorio was there, like in the back.
It was, guys,
he was a young.
You might not have noticed because he had hair. It was Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio with the hair, and it was like out there.